please. Lead the pledge. Again. Okay, Mr. Wilkerson, start it, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, everybody, for coming out this evening. Glad to have everyone. This is not Mr. McAllister. Yes, glad to have you.
Did you take a picture?
She just scooted over, if that's the proper word, scooted. Okay. Could I have a motion to approve the minutes of the April 16th meeting, please?
I'll move.
Ms. Smith?
I'll second.
And Mr. Curry, second. All yes?
Yes.
All yes vote. Okay, we have several presentations. We're going to begin with Rick McDowell about the Teen Parenting Initiative. Rick, I assume this is the same
It is.
information you submitted.
It's,
Okay, thank you, sir.
I think everybody's gotten one of these. There have been some of us who've been working on issues of teen parenting for all our lives, I don't know, for a long time. And what we went ahead and did was driven in part because we had a May 1st deadline. That was when any grant submitted to the Greater Kanawha Valley Foundation had to be in. So we partnered with Southwestern Community Action, and they actually were the organization that submitted the grant. Jeff and Trish both were very helpful in thinking this through, talking preliminarily about it. But I wanted to give you an overview of what was submitted, try to answer any kind of questions you have, and get any kind of suggestions from you that you might have. The major idea behind this is that we feel like we do a better job with these kind of programs if we proactively figure things out on the front end before the program actually starts. So we didn't want to go after a grant to do this stuff immediately. What this funding will do, if we get it, it will, most of it will go toward hiring somebody through Southwestern Community Action, and their charge will be to work in the coming year, paralleling the school year, and get things ready so that these different pieces of this initiative could unroll in the fall of 2014. And the pieces of it, there are four major pieces of it. The second page of the handout goes over the goals. One of the goals is to continue the teen parenting program that we've got. That's the program we're in the second year of the high school, where we've got different agencies coming once a month. We pull young parents, males and females, and their kids together for the day, talk about a whole lot of different kind of things. We think we could improve that program in a number of different ways, getting more feedback from the teens, trying to be more proactive in trying to meet their needs. The way it works now is I do a mailing to the teens a week in advance and say, don't forget, we're having the meeting. And sometimes we have a chance to call them to make sure they've got rides if they need rides for their babies. I think we could do a better job in those kind of things with a little more coordination. So that's sort of an ongoing thing that we're going to continue. Another goal is to do the research and the groundwork to try to create vocational opportunities for students at the high school to gain child care certifications. And there are two certifications out there now. One is a one-year certification that's called a Child Development Specialist, and another is a two-year certification that's a Child Development Association certifications. And these would be career and technical education programs, so they'd be tied into the school. That's the goal. We don't know the details about them. That's what this year of planning would do for us, so that we could answer all these questions and get that set. Another piece of the thing about childcare certifications would be working with Southern West Virginia Community and Technical College to establish an articulated credit program so that kids, while they were at high school, could gain some credits that they could use to get an AD in childcare. And one of the things that we know in Lincoln County is that we don't have enough people who are accredited in childcare, and so we've got a real dearth of that. So this program would help our students get some more job opportunities. The third part is to do groundwork and research to develop a child care center actually at the high school itself. It would be for 3-year-olds and younger. 4-year-olds can get into other kind of programs now, but it'd be for 3-year-olds and younger. It would dovetail into the child care certification program. And the very last part of it would be working on establishing a mentoring program for these young teen parents so that we link them with people who've had children. It could be parents who have children the same age, but just to help these teens as they go through all the kind of challenges they've had. So what we're looking to do is the budget for this on the final page. It's just over almost $53,000. The majority of it going to personnel expenses. There's some program expenses. There are a few other kinds of expenses. The income stream that we're looking at, $36,000 is in the request for the Greater Kanawha Valley Foundation. The Wall Service Award is pledged $4,000. The County Commission's pledged $1,000. We're saying that because these teens and their parents are fed at school, that there's an in-kind contribution from the school system to feed them of $3,500, and then there'll be some in-kind contributions from Southwestern Community Action. So that's the program we're looking at. We would find out about this in June. As soon as we found out, we'd start rolling out the hiring procedure. We'd hire somebody. Again, it would be hired, the person would be hired through Southwestern, but they would be the person who would do the groundwork for all this kind of stuff and would figure out, you know, if we need funding, what some funding streams are, if we need accreditation, where do we have to go to get it, if we need special people involved as teachers with certain kinds of credits and credentials, where are those people, how could we fund them? We want to try to get all these things answered in advance. And my thought would be, as we go through this process, we come to the board and say, okay, this is what we're learning, what kind of questions do you have, what kind of suggestions do you have as we move forward? There are a lot of planning, a lot of discussions, a lot of groundwork. That's pretty much it. If you want a more deep, I didn't know whether folks wanted a more detailed budget. I actually used a budget that accompanied the grant, which shows what's going into this, what's going into that.
I don't think it's necessary unless some of the boards will.
And I guess the hope is that, you know, the board would give their endorsement of this idea and say, yep, go forward, come back and tell us what's happening.
Does anybody have any questions, Rick? Take it a while.
The infants or little kids
Yes.
that come there, how are they gonna get there?
Right now, because we bring them in now to the monthly program. We bring them in now. If the parents don't have a way to bring them, we transport them through Tri-River Transit. And we're not, you know, again, we're not really sure, but part of this year would be to figure all those kind of logistics out. It might be that with the funding streams that Southwestern has, that it might make sense to actually, for Southwestern to get a grant to buy a bus to transport these little kids. But we would certainly appreciate any kind of suggestions and thoughts that you all have about questions that we need to make sure we get answered as we go through this. Because
Here, you refer to it, the center would open in the fall 2014 now. At the high school, do we have a location for the center?
Yes.
Since you two gentlemen are here.
Yes.
Turn it over to the people who live in it.
We were thinking of the severe and profound classroom. That was the original tourism room. And I think we measured, it was what, I can't remember the total number of feet, but we determined you could put probably between 12 and 20 kids, I guess. That was our determination. But as he said, there's several agencies that regulate that. They would probably need to come down and do their walkthrough and give some more precise number.
Just making sure you had a place, Rick.
We have a plan for it.
You always start with
We always start with the plan.
And the board or the school system's only obligation would be so an in-kind type?
Yes, yes. Again, we're trying to make sure that, given the fiscal issues that we're facing, that we don't put any kind of burden on the school system for this. So, yeah. That's it. And unfortunately, the state's paying for the meals at this point, so that's even better.
Well, it's a good program. I see Mr. Stevens on the back page.
Yeah, all the pictures there, people who are, kids and people who
Yeah,
are.
these are good people. Well, it's certainly a worthwhile and needed program, so I think
We'll keep you up to date as we go forward.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, next we have, we were talking about food, Angie, so Angie Pritchard's going to talk about the food service update. Angie? Just don't say anything that's going to burst Rick's bubble.
We haven't started yet. We don't want to burst it.
We're still trying to blow it up, or inflate it. Just a second.
Have to excuse my voice, I've been a little bit under the weather, my voice is kind of scratchy. But I brought you a couple things. I wanted you to have a look at our participation record for April of this year. And I just wanted you to look at it. It's kind of become consistent. This is what we're basically, doing each month. I brought it, broke down for each school, and kind of impressed with Midway. They have really good participation rate for the month of April. So I used these numbers for the April participation to come up with this form that I gave you for the CEO reimbursement. What I wanted to ask you to do was to consider reapplying for the CEO.
Could you explain to us what the CEO means, please?
That's the community eligibility option. And instead of collecting free and reduced applications, we get a direct, students are direct certified, and we get reimbursed based on the direct certification, the number of students that are direct certified. And then all the rest of the students, we get reimbursed at a paid rate, and those students we get reimbursed at a free rate. So this year, we were able to directly certify more students than what we had last year. So that's why it's going to be beneficial to us to reapply. If you look at the little chart I made you, we identified, last year we had 48.9% students identified as needy through the direct certification process. This year we had 50.72%. And we take that percent of needy students and we multiply it by 1.6, which is the rate given to us by the state. And that's how we get our percentage of meals that are reimbursed at the free rate. So last year our percentage was 77.27%. This year it's 81.15% at the free rate. So I took the April participation numbers and figured that out, and for a monthly, using those numbers, with the new rate, the new reimbursement rate of 81.15% for the month of April this year, we would have made an extra $6,309. And so I wanted to figure out how much that would mean to us annually. So I got a daily rate, and then I multiplied that out by 175, assuming 175 school days. And that gave me an anticipated annual increase in revenue of $78,867. And that would lock in for 4 years if we reapply.
And could you explain what direct certification means?
Sure. That is, we get a match from the State Department does it. They match our students with any students that receive benefits with DHHR. That would include all those students. That would include foster children, homeless children that are deemed homeless, Head Start children. But there are no applications.
So there is a direct relationship with students that are identified through the eligibility criteria if they are deemed homeless under the McKinney-Vento Act, and it's a federal program, as well as students that are DHHR.
Correct.
Foster kids. And how do we do that versus the way we used to do it with the application? How do you direct certify them?
Well, over the summer, the state sends me a file of matched students, and then I go into the Primero system. And any students that, I've tried to find students that I think it's that same child. Like I might try to find a child with the same address, the same parent, and then I try to manually match them. They match most of them through the process. And then I get an update from the State Department pretty well monthly, each month, and I go in and update that and try to pick up any new students that they might have picked up at DHHR throughout the school year. Then I work, with Mr. Pritchard with the homeless. We try to get as many as we can on there, and we were able to increase our numbers this year.
How's this different from the program that the state just passed, or the bill the state just passed, free lunch and
The Feed to Succeed. I talked to Mr. Rick Goff about that, and that is an option that they're not going to implement until 2015, for one thing. And then he said for the other thing, he doesn't think that it would be beneficial for us to do that, since we are already able to offer the free meals through the CEO option. And then he said, we'll have training on it later, but we've not been trained on it yet. But that's coming in the future.
So, Bob, up there, so this CEO option is what we do?
That's what we're doing now.
That differs, though, from what the legislature just passed, is that what you're saying, for 2 years from now?
Yeah, that's a different program. You're talking about the program where you try to find people to give money to, that's not taken effect yet.
But you say at the bottom, it's just anticipated annual increase in revenue
Mhm.
would be the $78,000, so I'm looking at this.
By reapplying.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, annual increase,
Right.
$78,000 more
Right,
dollars.
right, by taking
Is
these,
that what that means?
I took April numbers because I thought they were, pretty consistent with their participation. They looked consistent to me. And, figured that out, what the monthly increase was, and then by that I was able to get, what we would anticipate the annual increase would be.
From the